Surprisingly, Scottie Barnes' best play type this year hasn't been an isolation or a post-up or anything like that. It has been a pick and roll as the ball handler. Over this summer, I watched and cataloged every single Scottie Barnes pick and roll to try and be able to tell what that might look like this season. With teams going under or playing to the push switch, Scottie was often put in situations where he couldn't advance or create advantage out of the pick and roll last season. It wasn't a good play type for him. And for this season, not only has it been Scottie Barnes' best play, but he's actually been the best Raptor when it comes to running the pick and roll. With a much improved pull-up jump shot and improving handle and his always fantastic ability to map the court, I want to talk about and break down some of the best pick and rolls I've seen from him against a multitude of coverages. And the numbers, for anybody wondering, per synergy, he's had 88 pick and roll possessions, including passes out of them, coming to 1.057 points per possession. This is a good deal higher than last season. Among qualified players, he is one of the best at avoiding turnovers. He is 26th in points per possession, and he's 13th in score percentage, which is how many of his pick and roll possessions lead to a score of some kind. With all that said, let's do some film. Something Barnes didn't get a lot of last year was regular over pick and roll coverage, and the Bucks gave him that coverage. They love lock and trail, they love playing drop, and their coverage was a reflection of that. Brook Lopez is a very good deterrent in drop against a lot of guards. That's not Scottie Barnes. Lopez imposes on and frightens guards who don't want to try him at the rim, but Barnes wants that. Barnes always wants the smoke, and Lopez is just another guy at the rim to him, and so deep drop is just a runway for him. He's a huge hulking driver who is an ambidextrous finisher with great touch to hit any variety of shot within 10 feet, and he did that against the Bucks. Okay, let's talk about a bunch of different coverages. So Middleton is icing this pick and roll, and he wants to play Barnes into Beasley, who is nexting this rotation. It's a type of defensive rotation from one pass away. Barnes takes the ice, sees the next, and snakes to get away from it, and in doing so, he drags Lopez a bit wider and pulls Beasley past Pirtle's rolling lane. By getting wide, he opens up the space Pirtle needs and finds him for the layup the moment he hits the passing window. This is masterful manipulation. And here, the Raptors need a late game bucket, and Barnes calls Chris Boucher into the action because he got Poole on the cross match. Siakam got Poole on the game winner. Barnes gets him here. Poole tries to step up and turn Barnes' driving lane wider, but Barnes clears him and hits the contact layup over Kuzma. And here we get a blitz. Barnes quickly bails out of it and finds Achua to reset into a pick and roll. Portis is playing up to touch and does a good job splitting the difference. Payne actually plays great defense here while staying attached to Barnes' hip. Middleton has a great dig, and somehow Barnes throws a fastball on the rim. This is insane touch, and maybe this isn't the best process, but stars hit tough shots, and Barnes does that here. And this one's pretty simple. The Raptors just run Spain pick and roll with Schroeder back screening Embiid, and Barnes' pacing is fantastic before a huge gather and long steps transport him to the bucket for an easy layup. I love this one. Drew and Horford play under to switch because Achua starts plowing downhill, and Barnes takes the drive back into Achua's wake to confuse the coverage. Do they switch it back? Will Achua slip if they do? He gets to his spot, stop and pop, easy bucket. And here a drag screen with Otto Porter Jr., and the Celtics just switch even though Porzingis is in a deep drop. Barnes takes the space, gets into a very practiced combo, and cans the midi. And yes, Barnes is still shooting around 60% on his midi pull-up this season, which is nuts. On this one, the Raptors are running Chicago at the top. Derrick Jones Jr. uses the stab step to go under and meet Barnes on the other side. Barnes immediately crosses back over to initiate a rescreen, which is a good thought, but Pirtle is diving, so Barnes initiates the ISO. Big man, big trouble. He bullies Jones Jr. to get to his spot and hits the little fader. Great stuff, star stuff. And here Caruso is pressing hard. He's one of the only players his size in the NBA that can get away with this versus Barnes. He's icing as well. Barnes takes this challenge, rejects the McDaniel screen that's coming, and just works Caruso into the paint where Barnes makes a really nice leaning bank shot. And here he takes the blitz against the Spurs, only this time he keeps his dribble alive, attacks downhill to collapse the defense, and moves the ball onto OG. OG makes the right call after Barnes did the same. That's a bucket. And a cool aspect of Barnes improving in the pick and roll is that teams will play and load up on it more often, like Detroit does here. Them playing into the lane that Barnes is about to occupy means that they're skinny, and it means that Schroeder can take this stampede cut wide and get all the way to the rim. That's because of Scottie's gravity in the pick and roll. And this screen off of Achua that actually ends up becoming a twirl action for Gary, Scottie uses his height and his perfect passing touch to put the ball in the exact right spot for Gary to hit the three. When I talked to Darko about this before the season, he told me that he thought there was more potential for this play because of Scottie's tremendous playmaking. And we've seen so much of that, but also he's been able to use his newfound skills combined with his old ones to score more often in this play type too. In just 16 games, he's seen as many different coverages out of the pick and roll as he did the first 2 years of his career combined. And the ramifications of Barnes' handle and decision making, allowing him to start consuming a bunch of reps in the pick and roll, they're massive. Barnes is already a big old basketball supercomputer on the court, and every time he adds a skill, it creates an avenue for him to beat new coverages, and we know he'll leverage that. He's been sublime in many ways this season. This one might be the most important going forward. This video is a converted article and an updated version of the look at Scottie's pick and roll prowess, which I did about a week and a half ago. If you want the early access to this kind of stuff, feel free to subscribe over at raptorsrepublic.com. It's what keeps us alive. It's what keeps me fed, and it's good to support work that you like. If you're not into all that, totally cool, but make sure to like and subscribe to this video to support the channel. Thank you so much. I've been Samson Folk. Have a tremendous day. See ya.